Hello, thank you for joining me this morning. I'm talking about why pretending to be patient isn't working. On the outside, you're trying to put on a great image, a smile, but on the inside, you are full of resentment and anger, bitterness and frustration. And there's this constant fight going on within you about being this calm, Zen like parent, but really, there's so much struggle that is the truth. And so it's like putting up an image, like a cardboard image of yourself, because it's what you desperately want to be, likely as a parent. It's what you wanted to have as a parent, maybe. It's you trying to be your most enlightened and amazing self as a parent. And it is a two-dimensional image because what's true going on inside is something wildly different. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks so much. My name is Allie Payne, and I'm a certified life coach, certified relationship systems coach, and I work with parents and teens, having been a very troubled teen myself, to help to close the gap and end this painful disconnection that is, it's really heartbreaking, I know, as a parent myself. Today I'm talking about the difference between patience versus tolerance. And this is actually, believe it or not, this is a blog that I wrote probably 6 years ago, and it is still to this date the most popular blog on my entire website. It gets the most hits. It's crazy. And I wanted to share, I've just got my laptop here because I wanted to share the definitions with you so that I can help you to kind of break apart the need to have this image of who you are really, like who you are really inside and what's true for you and your emotions, and then the image that you want desperately to present. And I know, I'm going to say right now, this is because of loving intention. It's because you love your teenager, your family, your spouse, your partner so much that you have this strong desire to be this enlightened version of yourself, to be a very patient and calm parent. And that's okay. I totally acknowledge that. I wanted that too. I was not that. I tried, but here's what happened for me. And sorry, I got an itchy nose. I don't know if this was what is true for you. What happened for me was that the more I tried to be patient, the more I tried to truly be this calm and very Zen-like person that quite honestly, can we just be honest with each other here? It doesn't exist. Like, doesn't exist. I thought it's who I wanted as a teen myself. So I was trying to be the parent I thought I wanted, and that I had made up this version of a parent that I thought I could be. And the truth for me was, yeah, that might happen in movies. Maybe Mary Poppins, I don't know. But it was not true. There was no such thing as this completely Zen-like parent that was just patient all the time. And here was the price. This is what I need you to hear. This was what the price of that was for me and for my kids, okay? So the more that I attempted to be this patient person, which was true some of the time. It's not like you're not patient. It's like I had great days, mostly when I'd slept some. Those are few and far between. And maybe when I was around other friends, not because of image, but I'm an extrovert. So I always felt more energized and buoyant around friends. I always used to say if I could put their half sanity, like my other mom friends, their half sanity with my half sanity, I felt like a whole person. So the price was, I was constantly invalidating my own feelings. That was a really steep price. Having come out of a childhood with a lot of emotional trauma, where feelings were not allowed anyway. It was very, very unsafe to express any feelings. And then growing up and even into like early adolescence and being a wife and a mom, still learning, but somewhat really denying my feelings. And not expressing them. So the more that I attempted to be this patient, perfect version of myself, I invalidated myself on the daily. You guys, on the daily. And the price of that for me was continuing to perpetuate a message about my feelings not belonging, not being okay, being too messy, being too ragey, I don't know, being too whatever, like fill in the blank. I was perpetuating that message in myself. That was a steep price. Steep price. Coming out of having healed from, somewhat anxiety. I mean, that's a lifelong thing. Eating disorders, like the self-loathing, to then be perpetuating how I wasn't, to invalidating myself was steep. So that's the price for me. The price of pretending to be patient all the time with your kids is it sets them up for the same message. When you pretend to be patient and Mary Poppins all the time, or whatever it looks like for you, I think that's somehow what I was aiming for. You are modeling for them like an unattainable version of humanity, an unattainable version of you just are patient all the time, and you know, of this constant invalidation. It unintentionally, okay, look, I am not saying, I know you're a loving and caring parent. I know you are. That's why you're here right now. That's why you're watching this. But it sets up unintentionally an environment that's not real. It's not real, and kids make up, even if this is not what you intend, kids make up that this kind of fake, all calm, we're zen and happy here environment is not a safe place for them to be messy. And I don't know about you, but kids are messy. Teenagers are messy with their emotions. So creating a safe container for them to then express and share and sort through all of their feelings and thoughts, because when they go through puberty, their brain is literally having a renovation of thoughts and emotions anyway. It like pulls that off the table. It's just not attainable. So that's the second price. There's a price for you of constant invalidation. There's a price that I'm not saying you're invalidating your child's feelings or your teen's feelings, but it sets up an environment that feels kind of like that. It's just not safe. The third price for you is that I call this bottle blow. The bottle blow method of parenting. By attempting, because of loving intention, to be the most enlightened version and patient, zen-like Mary Poppins version of myself, and invalidating myself, what happens is I do have feelings. I am a human, and I ain't no Mary Poppins. I can tell you that much for free. That my feelings that I'm trying to invalidate and stuff, they build up, they build up, they build up, they build up, they build up until I blow. And it's the falsehood, it's the price of a falsehood of patience. Bottle, blow. Like, give me I get it in the comments if that's, do you get it? Like, if this is you, tell me, because you're not alone in this. Trust me, you are not alone. So in this bottle blow method of what happens of trying to be this patient version of yourself all the time, you blow up. And when you blow up, right? Thank you. Exactly. Yes. See, you are so not alone. Parents, like, come on over to the imperfect side. Welcome to my messy world. That when you blow up, here's what happens physiologically in your brain. Okay, when you blow up, your emotional brain, okay, this is the Daniel Siegel hand model of the brain. Your amygdala, okay, which is your emotion center here, okay, it's usually wrapped nice and safely like a turtle in a shell, okay, like a turtle in a shell. It's nice and safely, and it's wrapped with your prefrontal cortex, all of your impulse control, self-regulation, it's wrapped in that. We're good, right? Being patient here. What happens when you blow is that your prefrontal cortex, your impulse control, all of that, it's hanging on, and then and it blows its lid. What do you think how vulnerable and raw do you think a turtle is without a shell? Like it's prone to death. That's how raw and vulnerable. So when you go to blow, by the time you flip your lid, is what Dr. Daniel Siegel calls it. By the time you flip your lid, your emotion center is raw. It is now running the show. It's also a psychological phenomenon called being triggered. Now you're in a triggered or somewhat triggered state. I mean, I'm not going to label you. You know you, okay? But you're in a somewhat triggered state, and all of that intellectual impulse control and higher level thinking, it's not available. Like, it's checked out. Gone. Okay? So in attempting to be patient all the time, and whatever version it is for you, for me, it was literally, I don't know why Mary Poppins comes to mind. I actually am creating a version of me that's a bit of a monster. I was a bit of a monster because when I flipped my lid, I probably, for my kids, that was probably a little bit scary. And you want to know how I know? Because it was scary for me. That's how I know. It was frightening for me. Now I'm an extrovert, and I'm also very emotionally wired. So when I get that overwhelmed with emotion, I actually almost shake. And it would terrify me. I would shake my whole body, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, part of me is like, what is going on with you? Like, this is not good mumming. This is not good momming. You should stop now. But then the flipped lid part of me, I couldn't stop, because now it's a runaway train because I've flipped my lid. There's very little self-control. I'm not saying you go and do like crazy ass wild things. That's not what I'm saying. But there's very little self-control left in your brain once you have flipped your lid. So I was creating a situation that felt unsafe for me. I was also creating a situation that this part has been studied, feels wildly unsafe for my children. That's what I was doing in trying to be this super patient parent that doesn't exist. So here I was trying to be this patient parent, trying to create this loving, we're in Instagram, look at the puzzle we finished in the pandemic family, like all that. And I was actually creating an environment that for my kids felt very unsafe, because they start, over time, this is what happens, over time, children begin to walk on eggshells around you. Which is an irony, because if you have a teenager right now, you probably know what it likes to feel like walk around on eggshells around them. But your kids start to walk around on eggshells around you, because they don't know when you're going to explode. So do you see how this like beautiful, loving intention to be this wonderful, patient, calm, responsive parent that you want to be, in many ways is unattainable. And when the more you try to be that version of yourself, the negative impact that it has on you, constantly invalidating yourself, on your kids, by creating an unsafe place, because they see you always just be happy and okay, and then the blow-ups are even more unsafe for you and maybe them, all from this wonderful intention, all from that. And so can I just say right now, could we please just let go of the perfect parenting? Let go of this trying to be patient all the time. So here's what I want to give you. And this is a critical distinction. If you hear one part of this video, I hope it's this, okay? Here is the actual definition. Hey, Karen. Here is the actual definition of patience, okay? I'm just going to read this off. A patience is what you use. It gives you strength and perseverance. Patience is defined as determination, resolve, tenacity, endurance, single-mindedness, all great qualities, but it also says a very steadfast approach and a willingness to work and wait as things unfold. That last part sounds like parenting to me. How about you? A willingness to be steadfast in my approach and a willingness to work and wait as things unfold. Nothing in there says being perfect. Nothing in the definition of patience says being perfect. So I am willing to hold the vision, the long-term vision of what I want, both for my kids and for my vision of myself and my vision of my relationship that I want with them, and be steadfast in that. But that doesn't mean that I don't ever have feelings, okay? Here's the definition of tolerance. Check this out. It is defined as being lenient, indulgent, permissive, long-suffering. Okay, that defines parenting somewhat, but long-suffering. And it means putting up with something that's not working. That's what tolerance actually means. For real. So when you tolerate things, long-suffering, lenient, indulgent, permissive, when you are tolerating, you're pretending. Because you're getting more and more of what you don't want. Either from yourself. When you pretend to be patient, you're tolerating. Do you get that? When you pretend to be patient, you're tolerating. You get more of what you don't want from yourself, from your teenagers, and nothing ever changes. And that is probably the most frustrating hair pulling out experience ever, because it doesn't make sense in some ways. It's like, just a minute here, I am doing my best, very, very, very best Mary Poppins version, and you over there are just seemingly getting worse and worse and worse. And they will. Because when you pretend to be patient, you're tolerating, which means nothing is changing. You are not actually validating yourself. You're not saying what is true for you. You're not modeling it's okay to be angry and have feelings and be human. You're not modeling actually boundaries. It can become quite toxic. Pretending to be patient, which is tolerating, can become toxic because here's what I want to offer for you. And this is something that I was talking to my participants in the 5-day challenge about last night. And this is all of the kind of things that I'm talking about starting April 20th in my Empowered Parent Mastermind program. Is that when you express emotions, which are human, in fact, it's what differentiates our species from all the other species in that 1-point-something% of DNA, is that we have a huge range of emotion. And your emotions are okay. No matter what anybody else told you before, here, and now, all of your emotions are okay. Here's your permission slip. Permission to feel, okay? Permission to model wholeness and feel. There you go. Take your permission slip. So when you model this for your teenagers, you give them permission to feel in a way that is patient, right? Like steadfast for a goal, toward a goal, and being resolved. So you could say, I feel X about Y. It is the simplest, best way to model feelings, including anger, frustration, disrespect, like all of those things. You are allowed. Whoever told you that you weren't allowed to feel, they were doing their best, but it was their own crap. You don't need to carry it. Whoever told you that you needed to pretend to be a perfect parent and make patients look really good even though you were pretending, that's their story. It doesn't need to be yours. And if these were your stories, well, welcome to my club. We're all in this together. And I've chosen to put that down, and I'm giving you permission to do so too. I feel X about Y. I feel angry about what I just heard you say. I feel disrespected by the words I just heard. Notice how I'm saying I, not you. So if you're going to say you, it better be just in a phrase that is expressing a piece of data. I feel really disrespected when I hear you say blah. I feel really angry when I asked for the dishes to be done for 3 days and I see they're still not done. I feel really upset when I come in your room and it smells like friggin' mold, and we had talked about this 3 times, or whatever it is you need to say. High five, go say it. When you model validating your own feelings in a constructive and healthy way, I am not a fan of disrespect and going beyond lines of basic dignity. But when you model how you feel and you give yourself permission to express those feelings, you model that for your children and for your for your teenagers. I feel X about Y. Just start there. And then if you want, the Z part, X, Y, Z, is make a request. What I would like is, or I would like, and use please and thank yous. You want your kids to use please and thank yous, you use please and thank yous. Okay? All of these things that build, so here's the thing. It gives you validation because your feelings are real and they matter and they're allowed. It gives your kids and your teenagers a real sense of what a relationship is like, because being in a relationship with Mary Poppins, it might happen with Dick Van Dyke, but it's not going to happen anywhere else. I don't know. Or the little kids who were in the movie and with Mary Poppins. So being in relationship with someone who's constantly not feeling is setting your kids up to be in a relationship that's not going to work because it's not real. Setting them up to know that relationships have feelings, that not everything is flowery and fancy every day. Some things are a little messy, and we're okay here. We're okay, because no matter how you feel, I love you. I don't love you conditionally, so I'm not going to love myself conditionally. I'm going to love myself unconditionally and all of my mess and my feelings, and I'm going to model that for my kids, and I'm going to love them unconditionally as well. Then I'm going to model a way to express my feelings that is safe. And I am feeling, giving myself permission to feel and creating that safe space for feelings. And I'm going to model that for them so that when they, as teenagers, because it is so hard for teenagers to express what it is that's going on for them, because their lower brain, the emotional brain, is fully formed by about 12, but that upper brain, all new software, people, all new software, and in fact, a whole lot of new hardware. It grows every day. It's so fast in its development that the upper part can't process or articulate what the lower part is trying to do, while the lower part's in the process of getting a whole lot more complex thoughts and feelings. Like, try that on for a day. That's a teenage brain. So when you model, I feel X about Y, and you're giving your kids or your teenager a framework as well for what different feeling words, you're modeling emotional vocabulary. What do those words even mean? Because when they're a teenager, we've gone past happy, sad, mad, glad. Happy, sad, mad, glad, those are kid feelings. Those aren't teenage feelings. Teenage feelings are far more complex, which you know now as an adult, but they don't have the words for it. So you're modeling that. You're giving them permission for self-expression. You're giving them permission for self-advocacy. I hope for your teen, I'm sure when they're starting dating and in a relationship, you want them to be able to clearly express how they feel about the relationship with whomever they're attempting to be in relationship with. That's self-advocacy. That's what you model. You also, when you're pretending to be patient, I don't have boundaries. There's no boundaries. You're tolerating. That's really what you're doing. Long-standing, lenient suffering. That's what tolerating is. Permissive. And when you don't set boundaries, you again invalidate yourself. You're not teaching your kids don't ever learn what boundaries are. This is for real. For real. I did not know what a boundary was until I was about 30 years old. I was married and had a baby, and I didn't know what a boundary was. Yep, that's true. I didn't know I was actually allowed to speak my mind until I was in my late 20s, but I still didn't know what a boundary was. This is a wildly misunderstood conception. Being patient means having very, very solid boundaries because you're determined, you've got your eye on the prize, you're being willing to work with what comes with the long-term vision in mind. Being patient I'm going to bust that myth right now. It does not mean you're a pushover. Patience is not a pushover. Hell no. Patience means you know exactly where I stand. You know exactly what works for me and what doesn't. I love you unconditionally, even though I'm going to help guide your behavior along the way. And I will help you to find words to put to your emotions, even when I find them hurtful. That's what patience is. Tolerance, when you don't set boundaries, it's wild invalidation everywhere. It's invalidating for you. It's invalidating for your kids. They feel like they're walking on eggshells around you because they don't know when you're going to blow up all the time. They don't know what will set you off. I grew up in a home like that. And when there was emotional and physical abuse, I cannot tell you how anxiety provoking, which I have anxiety, and how terrifying that was. Because I knew that smile I was seeing could flip like that. But I didn't ever know when. So by tolerating, you're not setting boundaries, your kids aren't understanding what boundaries are. Your kids aren't understanding what your values and beliefs are. And that's really important. Not that they're going to have the same values and beliefs, but if they understand what your values and beliefs are, it's more likely they'll get on board with your boundaries. And if they get on board with your boundaries, you need a lot less consequencing. So there's all this behavior modification that comes with just safely and validating your own feelings. And again, setting boundaries is the module I'm covering tonight in my 5 Days to a Better Relationship with Your Teen. It's a huge module that I'm covering in my Empowered Parent Mastermind coming up on April 20th, because most of us, I don't know about you, but I wasn't raised being taught how to do this relationship stuff. And yeah, I skipped a lot of school in grade 11, but I'll tell you what, that relationship class was never offered then. So I don't know how are we supposed to know this stuff when nobody's teaching it? This is not about a lack of intelligence. Usually this is about what was modeled for us when we were younger, and then and unfortunately movies and television play a huge role in what we think is normal. I don't know if you grew up, in the Cosby years and Family Ties and all that. Yeah, hi, I'm that old. That was what was normal. And or the Brady Bunch. I mean, there was a lot more patience going on, or more tolerance going on in some cases. And it didn't model what we as parents want, but don't truly understand how to create. Because again, we were never taught. So there's a lot of different ways that pretending to be patient, pretending to be that most enlightened version of yourself, actually creates a very toxic environment first for you inside, where there's no permission to be, there's no permission to express, there's no permission to feel. It's just unsafe. And it creates an environment for your kids where, because they're never seeing you having a bad day or having a sad or angry time or whatever, where they don't understand that regular emotional expression is a normal part of being human. And then because they don't know when you're going to blow, because you're going to build until you blow, they start to feel emotionally unsafe around you, which is actually toxic. They don't learn emotional vocabulary, emotional expression. They don't learn about boundaries, and they don't learn about what healthy relationships really look like. So what no one is telling us is that your wildly loving intention to be really, really patient has far more prices than it has payoff. And pretending to be patient is actually being tolerant. If this sounds familiar to you and maybe still a little, what now? I get it. I totally get it. It's only through all of my personal development training, 10 years I spent in personal development training, and then another 3 years in coaching school to be a life coach and relationship systems coach, that I learned all of these things. And I knew that's when I had to share this with other parents, because I came from a very toxic and unhealthy environment. And that was only then did I figure out how to untangle these relationship stories in my head, to do it different, how to heal from that, and then how to set up healthy relationships in a way that work both for me and for my kids. Because if it only works for my kids, then I'm invalidating me. And if it only works for me, I'm invalidating my kids. So how to create that healthy balance. And these are the kinds of things that I'm sharing in my Empowered Parent Mastermind, April 20th. If you are interested at all, hit the link in my bio. All the information is there. And if you have any other questions, just DM me, just message me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And I would love to have you join that program. It's an 8-week mastermind program for parents, covering everything from lying, forgiveness, trust, teens, technology, and privacy. As I said, boundaries, discipline, punishment. What the heck is all that? And how do you use it to get more of what you do want and not what you don't want? We're also talking about personality styles and love languages. Like how do you actually connect with your teenager, despite them seeming like quite a porcupine sometimes? And a whole lot more in this 8 weeks topic. So you'll get a module of information, and then 2 days later, I do a live Q&A with you, and not like this. It's over Zoom. Aw, thank you. It's over Zoom, so you actually get like one-on-one feedback, one-on-one question answering, you get access to me every single week. There's going to be a VIP program where you get individual session with me, and Voxer access, which is like kind of text messaging access to me as well. Workbooks for all the modules, lifetime access, so you don't just pay once. And if you and your partner want to take it, no, you don't pay twice. That's like silly. You pay once, you and your partner can both take it. And there's a private Facebook group that has 24 already existing modules in it that you get free access to. And it's a money back guarantee. 100%, no questions asked, money back guarantee. If you don't think for 1 second that you got value out of that, no questions asked, I'll refund your money. Because I want to serve and I want to help. I don't want to be right. So that's what I got for you. I am so glad that you have joined me today for this. And I hope that it has helped to unfold a little bit between the difference of pretending to be patient, which is actually tolerant. And so again, here's your permission slip. Head on out there and go be patient, because patient means you're validating yourself. It means you're doing all those other things for you and your teen. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. I will be here next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific. Thanks again. Bye.